Okay, so back when I was in high school, organizing how many sneaky links you had was one of the most awful things ever. I can easily say throughout my high school years, I've had over 25 sneaky links, and that's within the last 4 years of, well, me growing up. And if you guys don't know what a sneaky link is, basically it's someone that is, you know, a person that you do the Devil's Tango with, and that's all it is. There's nothing else. It's just purely someone that you do the Devil's Tango and dip. There's no personal connection. There's nothing more than just, you know, doing the deed. And I remember back in high school when I first heard of this, it was actually a really interesting way, because I remember I had this one buddy that would always randomly just go meet up with this one cheerleader girl at random moments, and he would always be gone for like half an hour, and we were always wondering why, me and all my friends that hung out with him, until one day he actually came up to us and said, "Oh yeah, you know Kathy, the girl in the cheerleading team? Yeah, what about her?" "Well, me and her kind of do the Devil's Tango, and that's it. We don't do anything else." "Oh, so you guys are like dating?" "Nah, man, of course not. She's like crazy, but her body's smoking hot." At that moment, that's when he told me about sneaky links and how basically it all works, and I thought it was outstanding. So me finding this out in my grade 9 year, I remember I implemented it in my grade 10 year when I started to look a lot more charming. And from there, I am not joking, like I said, I had over 25 different sneaky links. Now, the first one I had back in high school was my grade 10 year. And in my grade 10 year, one thing is for sure I can say was that my first sneaky link wasn't the best. What do I mean by this? Well, I mean she was kind of chopped. I know a lot of people don't believe in these stories because the amount of girls that I have apparently done the Devil's Tango with was way too many. But you gotta understand, not every girl I've been with was a 10 out of 10. Okay, a lot of them were chopped, a lot of them were, well, mid, and a lot of them were, well, I'm not gonna lie, they were like in the rates of around 6 to 7. 6, 7. Sorry, that's cringe. Going on. But like I said, her being so mid and chopped, I made it very clear to her that all I wanted was just to do the Devil's Tango. And she was totally down at first because she thought I was way out of her league. So me and her, I remember we ended up getting to a point where at least 3 times a week, me and her would meet up at some random part of the school, or even just at her place or my place, and we do the Devil's Tango. Now you guys are probably wondering, oh, that's kind of, you know, toxic, isn't it? Not really if you guys are both on the same page, but over time, as me and her continued, I want to say it took her around 3 months to then for her to say that she was in love with me. And that's when I realized if you're gonna have a sneaky link, you gotta really make sure that you guys both stay on the same page and not get too personal. Niggas are probably wondering, wait, what's the difference between friends with benefits and sneaky link? And I can tell you there's a major difference. Like, number one, friends with benefits, you guys are still friends and hang out and able to be out in public and keep things, you know, not as romantical, but in the bedroom, well, it's just straight Devil's Tango, and things just are always on the same page. As for a sneaky link, well, that's the thing. There's no going out in public and hanging out. Hell, no one even knows if you guys are actually friends or not. It's just pure Devil's Tango, and that is it. Comment down below if you guys would prefer a sneaky link or friends with benefits, but for me, in my first couple years, I had just sneaky links. How many friends with benefits I've had? Well, I could easily say more than 50, but not the point. Going on. But from there, I remember since me and her ended up ending off things because I wasn't in love with her, but she was in love with me, I ended up basically closing things off, and I ended up going on to the next person. The next person that I ended up going for my sneaky link, I guess, world, was a cheerleader. Now, cheerleaders, for some reason, they actually prefer having sneaky links. I don't know why, especially back when I was in high school. Sneaky links for cheerleaders were like the iconic goal, because not only were they like the biggest hoes in the school, but one thing was for sure was that they really just did not want a relationship so they can keep themselves open for college and then join a sorority and then go even deeper than I have gone, if that makes any sense. Or I guess they become deeper in a sense. I don't really know. But one thing was for sure, I ended up going with one of the cheerleaders, and we're just gonna call her Katie for this video. Now, Katie was a cheerleader in my high school, and she was actually like, you know, pretty attractive. So I remember I walked up to her one day after rugby practice, and I looked at her and I'm like, I don't know if you're like down, but like, I think you're really hot and attractive, and like, I don't know, I think it would be cool if me and you, maybe we're just, you know, buddies and just doing the Devil's Tango. And like, that's it. Baba, are you asking me to be your sneaky link? Yeah, if that's cool. I mean, how big is it? Big enough, I guess. Fine, I'll take you for a spin. After cheer, just like meet up at my place. At that moment, I was like, okay, whatever. And then me and her ended up going to her place, and yeah, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango. Things were perfect, and no joke, like things were going insanely well for like 5 months. And then I realized that this girl wanted it way too many times. Like, no joke, like there were times where randomly over text, she would make a joke being like, Baba, can you come over after school? Oh, I would, but like, I gotta finish this essay I have, and man. Like, I don't really have time. Bubba, are you serious? Do I need someone else to help me do it? Like, seriously, come over right now. I started to realize that she was way more demanding than she should have been, and it got to a point where it was way too much for me, and I ended up handing her off to my buddy. Yeah, I know it sounds really gross and really disgusting, but you understand, in high school, none of us really had manners or really cared. We were all on the same page, and we all really just didn't, like I said, didn't care, I guess is the best way to really put it. I don't know. I regret a lot of things in my high school years, and that was definitely one of them. Going on from there, I remember it ended up leading up to my next sneaky link, and this one was towards the summer of my upcoming grade 11 year, and I remember I literally like just ended up going with a girl that was one of the shy, quiet girls in our school. Now, this shy, quiet girl in our school, she really did not have many friends, and she was like really just like all to herself, I guess you could say. And honestly, I never had a problem with her. She was really nice and really gentle. What do I mean by this? Well, I remember when I approached her the first time, I thought this was a bad idea, and I thought she wasn't down, but one of her buddies ended up telling me that she thought it was cute, so I thought, why not shoot the message and just see what happens. Worst comes to worst, I don't get with her, and things just kind of go my way, and I'll just pretend she doesn't exist again. So I go up to her, and I'm like, hey, like, how you doing? You're pretty cute. And I ended up telling her if she was down to be my sneaky link. At first, she looked at me really weird, but then she said she was down, and I was like, okay, I guess things are now going somewhere, right? Yeah, no. Because I remember after like the third time we did the Devil's Tango, she started like wanting to use different types of toys. And yeah, I will say this, it became a massacre. There were times where I thought things were going way too insane. And when she wanted to start using the toys on me, that's when I ended up saying, you know what? Maybe it's best if we part ways. I don't know why, but when I'm telling you guys this, I feel like I'm telling you guys like my breakup stories, but in reality, I had never any feelings for any of these girls whatsoever. And I thought, you know what? Like, since I don't have feelings for any of these girls, that's perfect. Until my next sneaky link. Now, this girl was my everything. What do I mean by my everything? I mean, like, this girl I really liked, and I thought she was super attractive. She was exactly my type and exactly what I wanted. When I walked up to her and approached her the first time, funny enough, I wanted to ask her out. Yeah, I was done with this whole sneaky link thing. I realized that maybe it wasn't worth it and it wasn't gonna go ever my way. Right as I go up to her and I start basically, you know, telling her she's attractive and, you know, basically hitting it off with her and flirting back and forth, she ends up asking me to be her sneaky link. Now, obviously at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna say yes, because she probably doesn't want a relationship. And that's when I ended up basically like, you know, agreeing with her, and I ended up being her sneaky link. But then over time, as me and her would do the Devil's Tango, one thing I noticed is that every time right after, she would hop on her phone and start texting another guy. Now, this other guy ended up looking at her and I'm like, yo, like, who you texting? Oh, just don't worry about it. It's not important to you. Okay, that's cool and all, but I'm just wondering like who it is. Is it someone I should be worried about? Why would you need to worry about that? We're just sneaky links, Bubba. Oh, no, I mean, like, it's totally cool. Like, I'm just curious, like, you know, like, I don't really want to catch anything, if you know what I mean. Oh, Bubba, don't worry, he's like miles away, but he's my boyfriend. Hamana, what now? Yeah, it's my boyfriend from like, I want to say 2 years. Since he moved away, we both agreed we can only have one sneaky link, and he was cool with you, so I thought it was all right. Are you serious? Yeah, like, you don't mind that, do you? So in my mind, I started to realize that this girl that I actually was attracted to and wanted a relationship with was already in a relationship while I'm hitting it from the back. Yeah, I don't really know. I found it disgusting. If anything, I did not appreciate what was going on, and that's when I ended up cutting off things with her. I started to realize over time that, you know what, friends with benefits is maybe a better route to go towards than just sneaky link, because you never know what people are doing in their lives, and sometimes just doing it is not really the best method. I think the only times where sneaky links actually work is like, you know, you never see them, or maybe it's like a once a month type thing where you guys really don't care what's going on with each other's lives. But I don't know, overall I kind of just gave up on it after my high school years, because I realized that I do want a happily ever after, and I do want a real woman, if that makes any sense. By the way, if you guys have any hot moms, comment down below and I'll hit them up. Just kidding. Don't do that. I'm just totally trolling. YouTube, don't demonetize this video. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, click on one of the videos on screen right now and follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.